Good afternoon and welcome. We are so glad that you're here this afternoon. The Wolverine Caucus is proudly sponsored by the University of Michigan Alumni Association and the Office of the Vice President for Government Relations. We're so excited to have this opportunity today to have Professor Liz Gerber from the Ford School of Public Policy as our speaker. But first, we're going to hear from the great Senator of Ann Arbor, Senator Rebecca Warren, and just want her to come on up and take it off.
Well, thank you all very much. Veronica usually mentions in the introduction that I do represent the city of Ann Arbor. I did for 4 years in the House of Representatives, and the voters of Washtenaw County thought I was doing a good enough job there that they gave me a promotion. So I'm on the Senate side now, and I represent the bulk of Washtenaw County, so not just Ann Arbor anymore, but Ypsilanti, Dexter, Chelsea, Whitmore Lake, and the townships that surround them. So it's a pleasure to be joining you here for the first time as a member of the Senate instead of a member of the House. But I'm a U of M alum myself, so I have a special place in my heart for the university that I represent and that gave me my great start. And it is always a pleasure to have my constituents in Ann Arbor, or from Ann Arbor here in Lansing, sharing their knowledge and experience and expertise with us. And this introduction today of Liz Gerber is an extremely special one to me. I think all of us up here in Lansing could do very well to read the research that she's working on, to pay attention to the things that she has been studying, and the answers to so many of the challenges that we face here in Lansing and across the state can be found in the body of work that she is putting her heart and soul and energy into every day. So Liz Gerber is a professor of public policy at the U of M's Ford School of Public Policy, and she's a research associate at the Center for Political Studies, the Institute for Social Research. And some of the things that she works on are important issues like regional collaboration. How do we do it better to help communities be effective and help them save money? And I'm sure she's going to talk a whole lot more about her work today, but I wanted to just be here with you to do the special introduction to say, I hope that we will all learn a lot, and I'm sure that she will have great wisdom to impart on us today. But Liz, thank you so much for coming and being part of our Wolverine Caucus series today, and take it away.
Good afternoon, Wolverines. So I have a question. How many folks here have 1 degree from the University of Michigan? Anybody have 2 degrees from the University of Michigan? Anybody have 3 degrees from the University of Michigan? I do. So it turns out not only am I now a faculty member at the University of Michigan, but I did receive my BA, MA, and PhD all from the Ann Arbor campus. Different units, different times. I went away for a while, but I came back. And I have to say, I have to confess, I really do truly love the University of Michigan. So thank you so much for being part of that community and for inviting me to talk with you. I always enjoy talking with fellow Wolverines. I also have a confession to make. I love local governments. I love local governments, cities, villages, townships, counties. I love them. I study them. I spend way too many waking hours thinking about them and worrying about them. And really, I'm somewhat distraught now to see the local governments in the state that I love facing such difficult times. So it really does motivate me to do the work that I do. Much of what I do is to look at local governments and what they do and how they do it, and to try to think about logically, are there ways that they can do what they do better? It makes me very sad to hear people talk about inefficiencies in government. Yeah, maybe there are some, but governments do really good things. I promised my son I wouldn't embarrass him, but my son is here today with me. He had no school today, so my son Will got to come with me, and he'll attest to the fact that we spend a lot of time talking about all the cool things that government does. So we often will be driving along, and I'll say, isn't this a nice paved road that our government provided for us? Shall we? Oh, okay, this one freshly paved road, perhaps. Shall we go to the public library that our government provides for us, and so on and so on. You can see where I'm going. So anyway, it's a pleasure to talk with you all today about something that I care very much about. It's a huge topic that is both the circumstances of local governments in Michigan as well as collaboration as a potential solution to some of the problems that Michigan local governments face. I certainly will not touch on everything that we might want to talk about, but I'm going to try to give you a short economics lesson. I hope that you can bear with me on that, but I think it's really important to think about sort of the underlying economic logic of intergovernmental cooperation, what can and can't be done when cities try to cooperate, and what are some of the different motivations, the different reasons for cooperation, and then share with you a little bit of data to give you a sense of what's going on now in the state and what are some opportunities that are available for cities, counties, villages, townships to do more collaboration and the extent to which it can be helpful. This is a lovely device, by the way. It's a smart board. Actually, I could just be tapping on it, but I'm afraid I'd tap the wrong place. So let me just begin by kind of setting the stage. I've talked about this a little bit, but you know, if you're like me, you've heard a lot about the fiscal crisis facing cities, villages, townships, counties in our state. And I'll provide a little bit more detailed information about the extent of that, but that's not the main point of this talk. I'm not going to talk about how bad things are. It depends really on who you are and where you're looking, and there's quite a lot of variation across the state in the circumstances, the fiscal circumstances of local units. But clearly, overall, there's a lot more stress and in some places crisis in local governments. And it's leading local units to face really, 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 really difficult trade-offs. You know, things that nobody wants to do, really. Cutting services, laying off municipal employees, restructuring retirement benefits, raising taxes. Nobody wants to do any of those things, do they? I don't think so. Certainly nobody who is a dedicated public servant working in local government trying to do the best they can to make the circumstances of their constituents better. Nobody wants to do those things, and yet the fiscal reality is pushing so many places to have to make some of those choices. And so as a consequence, a lot of local units are saying, well, maybe we can do what we're doing differently. Maybe not necessarily do less of it, maybe not necessarily, well, hopefully we can also do other things like find different revenue sources and so on, but perhaps another solution is to collaborate, to do more cooperation, to share more service responsibilities, to deliver services differently, okay? And so that's really where this is leading is to what extent can that work? Can that help? To what extent can collaboration allow cities, and if I apologize for the folks here who are not from cities but are from other local units, I may slip into the language of cities, and I really do intend to say local units rather than cities. There are some distinctive issues that cities face that are different from that which townships, villages, counties face. For the most part, what I'm talking about here is general to those, so I apologize in advance if I slip. Did you have a clarifying question?
My question is whether you're going to include townships and counties or...
I am, and again, I apologize in advance if some of my work does focus strictly on cities, but this work and the discussion that I hope we have today, I think is general, although we might want to think about what are some of the unique differences at some point, but I do intend to have this general to various forms of local government. Yeah.
School districts
Sure.
too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, you know, school districts deliver different kinds of services. Obviously, some overlap, and I'll show a little bit of data which talks about collaboration between general purpose governments and school districts as well. But well taken, your point is well taken. Any other, you know, please feel free if any of you have clarifying questions, anything you'd like to add. I'd love to not talk at you for an hour. It would be much more interesting if you can add your questions as we go along. Okay, so here's my plan for today. Just lay out a little bit of data that